Oh, this all seems kind of funny. I know you had the experience, and I have a lot of funny ones too. That when I come back here, it's like, what? So again, and a lot of this stuff I'm just indifferent to because, again, it's got to make sense. That's the whole idea. Whether you know it or not, does it make sense? And so look at all the action that's taking place. Now, it can be, for the most part, it can be a setup to, because people are thinking in those terms many times, just like people wonder, when they already have a president of the United States, it's like, oh, I wonder who's going to be the next president. And the same thing, I'm sure that many of the Eckists would wonder, well, who's going to come after Harold? Well, I would say nobody's going to come after Harold because Harold's just going to keep going. That's just how it is. So this here, I'm looking at it objectively, and again, for these experiences, it's kind of funny how they were set forward in certain ways. However it comes out, the end result is, does it make sense? Where does it make sense? You see? In other words, where's the benefit? Where does it make sense? And so you have the experience, and lots of times it's to look out, just to be ready for anything that's funny looking that comes along, and to, not necessarily react to it, but how does it make sense? And whether you're wrong or right, it doesn't matter. And so again, the sun shining is the best example because life's an isness. And what we're going through in creation is just whatever. Okay, it's whatever. And so you don't have to make anything out of it. I look at it too, and I don't care what people say. So again, this is creation. It's just a wavy fabrication of this or that or whatever. And so I don't have, me personally, whether I'm okay or not, and I'm tired, I'm worn out. This has been seen before by seers and whatever. It's like, wow, you're really worn out, but you're a warrior, and I'll still keep going no matter what. And I don't have any desire or intent to leave. And like Kevin saw, probably a month or so ago on the real side when the creation bubble was ending, I was like still here. And so that doesn't mean physically necessarily, but again, we'll see what happens. So that's an interesting experience. And the category for me is, well, let's wait and see what happens. But there's no intent there with any of that. And actually, the boys make the decision on all that. I'm just doing my part, like anything. So they decide what's to take place. But it's interesting, the projection of that's what's kind of funny. Here you got this guy in this dark outfit, and you've got this funny alien. So it's more like a comedy show, isn't it? Whatever. You look at the whole process. It's like preparing a meal. These experiences are like preparing a meal. Just like, in other words, you go to the store, you buy the things that you're going to make for dinner, you bring them home, you prepare them, you chop up the vegetables, do whatever, make the salad, cook the meat, whatever you're going to have, and then you put it on the little plates and you serve it. Okay, so from all that you went through, the end result is, serving the meal, one plate at a time. And so look at the experience and everything that took place with your first one. And as the idea was known that there would be a replacement, there was panic. I'm just listening to what you said. And so again, it seems to be more than obvious all that was a setup, and plus it was in the basement. Okay, it wasn't on the surface world, it was below the surface world. So that would be like the lower astral realm. Things are happening, etc. And the people there, well, they're having the experience too. It's a wake up for them, but at the same time, looks like a setup to try to get these people that are with us, just like the things we went through, to panic and to be confused. You see, you look at going through all of that, everything is, you're looking at these things. It's like, oh, this character, Duane, he doesn't look good. He's not, he's this or that. And so, and see, you're just going through the act too. Just, you're like an actor in a movie. You're just going through whatever role you're to play. You're to see all this, okay? And then the end result is, then comes the reaction, right? Just like when the person who's making the meal has done all that during the day, put it all together, that's taken time, and then put the plate down, and then as the person eats it, okay, there's usually a reaction. Either like, oh, this is a great meal, or they spit it out. It can be one or the other. So again, the idea is that, there's a reaction there, there's the panic, and it seems to be more than obvious what makes sense. And also the image that was projected was some dark fella that you couldn't quite see. Okay, in other words, it's almost like the idea wasn't complete yet until we get the agreement. You see, it's kind of like that. So those are the little hints there. And the literal mind takes it a particular way. But again, what makes sense? Yeah, what makes sense? And you look at the reaction. Yeah, so it's all okay. It's all funny stuff, and they're constantly trying to do these things and distract because they infiltrate everything, just like Paul Eckankar was infiltrated, etc. And so I see the setup too, to where this Duane character, he's talking about Paul in some way in the past. In other words, building the idea to get people to accept it, because those of us that are here know that's where all of this came from. In other words, I went through that, and then I've expanded upon what Paul provided, etc. So you look at the setup. They say politicians do this all the time. They refer to history or something like that, or a president running for office will say, Abraham Lincoln said, and then George Washington did this, whatever. See, they're going to use those as references to build their position until the end result is it gets to the panic. They know that because they've seen it before. When Darwin came in, there was a lot of commotion in Eckankar. A lot of commotion. I don't want to go over it, but there was a lot. And when Harold came in, same thing happened. There was a lot of commotion amongst the membership because everybody has their ideas. And yes, this is why it's so important to be able to truly, sincerely recognize the all-is. Because with that, you will see what's going on. You will see the funny stuff that's going on in creation. Yeah. And so trying to get people there to see that, because, just your experience there had people, there was one gal, Sorrow, and another one, the Australian gal, and others, the two seers that I knew, etc. They saw certain things that supposedly was me or whatever, and they didn't like it. They left. What were they seeing? I don't know. I can't convince them otherwise. And, they were very good seers. And what were they seeing? And Sorrow was a great seer, and she was a sweetheart, but she sees me as evil, etc. So again, whatever. And many times it's the personal side of something. I see it as the personal side. In other words, when a person has ideas, in other words, when their personal life is first in some way, maybe they love their children, they love their family more than they do recognizing what's real. Well, that becomes in the way, and because that is basically a distortion in its own way, even though it seems common and okay, well, the deceptors use that to their advantage. They use that idea, that imagery that a person has, just like they, we're on Skype and whatever, they're recording us, they're using these things, and they'll start to twist them around. I've noticed that Duane the Great Writer in Google has changed over the years to where it says cult and all kinds of stuff. Who wrote that? Whatever. So again, they're going to take these things when a person is not able to see through all of it and have the recognition. They're going to take these ideas that people have, and they're going to use them in a particular way. Now, Sorrow was very interesting, and I'm not picking on anyone, and it's not a criticism. That's not the idea. I'm just saying these are examples of the choices that people have made. Chris Courage was there and others. They've made their choices because they're looking through something, and it's not about me. It's about the recognition. They don't have it. And I even told Chris on the real side, I said, you probably won't make it this lifetime. And, he followed through with, certain things that he had experienced, future views, and followed through, and he stepped away. That was his choice. And so it's very subtle, the views that people look through, even though they're thinking that, I'm with Rebazar, I'm this and that, and having experiences. But really, it's very, very subtle how that intent and how real it can be and how real the person is with their intent and actually recognizing this reality. So it's a lot. I know that. And so for the most part, I'm sticking around, until they get rid of me. But it was interesting conversation today with this one fella, and I showed him, my profile and all this stuff with the Secret Service and everything like that. We've talked about it several times. He's very, very impressed because he's doing worldwide projects, and a huge one in Kenya, but knows all of these elite people with the money, wants to do humanitarian projects. And he looked at me with what I'm doing. He said, you must have some kind of protection with what you're doing. And I said, yeah, we'll get into that. We'll talk about that, et cetera. And I sent him the intuitive course, et cetera. But he's very perceptive. I said, well, you're very perceptive in that area. You're very intuitive because, yes, because of what I'm doing. And I just do it anyhow. I'm a risk taker. And what else is there to do? I'm not going to just sit back and watch the world burn. I'm going to do something. And so whatever happens, happens. So again, our position with this is very interesting, and there will always be those that will try to infiltrate. And again, and if it's Scientology, or because Paul knew L. Ron Hubbard, etc., and I'm sure that he started off in a better position, but it's warped into what it has, and so is Eckankar and all kinds of stuff. The Dalai Lama, all these things that are supposed to be good and whatever, well, they've all warped, they've all been infiltrated. And this is the fun part that the reptilians and the shapeshifters have. They like this adventure too. They like the adventure of infiltrating, taking over. Yeah, Joni is just having a great time because, hey, she's subdued Harold and the membership, got them all fooled. So she's just, she's on it. She's on her game, and she's having a great time. And so again, these people are bored, and this is what they do. So these things are going to show up, and each person's going to make a decision. Those who can see it, those who can't. That's just how it is. And I'm amazed myself, at these people that I've known, and I've known many seers, and you know what? They just don't get it. They see what they see, but they don't see the real side. Yeah, they don't see that. They see certain things and are privy to it, and they're great. I am very respectful of this, but at the same time, they don't really see it. Yeah, and you'd think they would, and a lot of people take their advice and they're gone too, etc., because people are looking for an excuse not to do this because their personal life is just too important. And so that's a choice.